Hello and welcome to everyone across the nation joining today's workshop on access groups. This is Martha Perez with the CASAS Technology Support Team, and I will be presenting today's workshop. Now, this workshop focuses on how to create access groups to manage users with your online database. This function is available with both basic and enhanced access. In other words, a TE license or collective agreement with CASAS is not required. Okay. This is one of 23 complimentary CASAS Online Implementation Basics workshops. We highly recommend attending as many workshops as possible to learn about best practices and ask questions to become confident in using the online system. Online help is available on our website from Training and Support, ETAS Online Help, and TOPS Pro Enterprise. You will want to be sure and bookmark these as your electronic go-to resources. Electronic resources are updated periodically, so going to them will help to ensure you are receiving the most current information. Information for today's workshop comes from TOPS Pro Enterprise Help, Users, Personnel, and Access Groups, and Creating Access Groups. You can download this PDF file. Now, the Access Groups document includes a step-by-step tutorial on how to access or how to create an access group to define and control user access to TOPS Pro Enterprise menus and data. Accessing electronic resources also gives you the ability to search keywords to pinpoint specific information when you need help. Now, before we get started, I want to be sure and point out where you will find access to CASAS ETAS Online and TOPS Pro Enterprise Online. Please notice the URLs I just pasted in the chat box. Now, this is the main domain name address you will use when your agency is set up with an online database. This is commonly referred to as the production server, where live data is produced. For today's workshop, we will be using a simulation server for a fictional school called Rolling Hills Adult School. This simulation server is populated with fictional data to give you a realistic training experience. Now, this is available to anyone wanting to experiment and explore our online system without risk of compromising live data. You will find information on how to access the simulation server on our website from Training and Support, ETAS Online Help, Getting Started, and you can download the simulation server document. Okay, well, let's begin, and please feel free to ask questions along the way. CASAS manages online users with access groups to optimize system performance and for ease with user account management. Now, access to CASAS ETAS Online is controlled by CASAS. Access to TOPS Pro Enterprise Online is controlled by the local agency. CASAS assigns one member per agency to the ET Basic Group or TE Enhanced Group, depending on TE license status. Members in these groups may also be the main point of contact, the agency's data manager, or person responsible for implementing the online system at the local agency. Please note that CASAS reserves use of CASAS-controlled access groups or group names, as seen listed on the right side of this table. Removal from any of these groups will simultaneously disable access as assigned by CASAS. The ET Basic or TE Enhanced user has additional rights enabled to manage data and users at the local agency. The ET Basic or TE Enhanced user may add, remove, and augment agency-controlled access groups. No TE license is required. At most, a user may belong to one CASAS-controlled access group and one agency-controlled access group. If you place a user in more than one agency-controlled TE access group, this will result in conflicting rights. In other words, the TE group with least privileges will take priority. If you find that some of your users may need to be in more than one TE access group, then it's best to create a new group to combine access rights and place users in the one TE access group. Okay. Now, access to CASAS e-tests online. Excuse me, let me look here. It is. Now, access to CASAS e-tests online is not automatic after completing coordinator or proctor certification training. Upon training completion, the newly certified coordinator or proctor must notify the main point of contact, ET Basic or TE Enhanced user at the local agency and request the setup of their eTest online user account. Now, the ET Basic or TE Enhanced user is responsible for adding a user account for the coordinator or proctor to the agency's online database. After the account is in place, the main point of contact, ET Basic or TE Enhanced user, then sends an email to the CASAS Technology Support Team with authorization for CASAS to enable access to CASAS eTests online. In other words, CASAS will not enable access to CASAS eTests online without the agency's knowledge or authorization. When so notified, CASAS places coordinators and proctors in a CASAS-controlled access group as authorized and sends notification to the agency within 1 or 2 business days. Please note that the access to eTests does not include access to TE. Now, each TE access group has preset rights to menus and data. Now, users placed in a TE access group inherit these preset rights. This table defines the 3-state model TE uses to represent menu and data settings. Access rights in TE are represented by shaded, checked, or empty boxes, as seen in this table. Now, when users are members of an access group, a shaded box indicates that access to menus and data are inherited from the group. A checked box indicates that access to specific menus and data is granted. An empty box indicates that access to specific menus and data is denied. Now let's connect to TE and take a closer look at the setup of CASAS-controlled and agency-controlled access groups. Now, to access TOPS Pro Enterprise for the first time on a local computer, you can click the TE Client link on your upper left corner of the screen, or you can also click Install link. A client application will install on the local machine to connect with the online server. A shortcut icon will automatically be placed on the computer desktop. Now, if you're a user who will access TE frequently, you may want to pin the shortcut to your taskbar along the bottom of your computer monitor for quick access when other applications are open on your screen. Now, TE opens to a login screen similar to eTests, except that you need to specify the server from the drop-down menu. We will be connecting to the simulation server. Now, the simulation server has generic accounts for administrator, coordinator, proctor, and teacher login so that you may experience different types of user access. Coordinators and proctors do not automatically have access to TE. Access to TE may be granted by the agency to anyone with or without coordinator or proctor certification. Now, users enter the same login credentials to access either eTests or TE because there is only one database shared between the two applications. After entering login credentials, in this case, I'm logging in as an administrator, we will click Connect to establish connection to your online database. Now, TE opens to an empty screen. All data and reports are displayed from accessing menus along the top left. At top right displays the logged on user, application version, and general screen controls. All user activity is tracked and recorded in the online system, so it is important not to share login credentials. Now, access groups are part of the organizational structure of your online database. To access these, click Organization and then select Access Groups. What you see in the Rolling Hills Adult School fictional database are both CASAS-controlled and agency-controlled access groups. Now, only CASAS has access to CASAS-controlled access groups. These groups were only included in the simulation server. Let me highlight them. So that you may experiment with them and explore different types of user access. Now, you will only see agency-controlled access groups in your own online database. Now, these groups are available for you to use, augment, or remove and create your own. Now, TE Basic Access is available for you to give someone at your agency access to TE, but in a limited capacity. Because coordinators and proctors do not have access to TE when their accounts are enabled to access eTests, we add the TE coordinator and TE proctor access groups for you to use and augment for you to also give them access to TE. Otherwise, they will only have access to eTests. A predefined TE teacher access group is also added to your online database as a way for you to grant teachers access to test results and generate their own reports. If your agency has a TE license or collective agreement with CASAS, teachers may also manage class enrollments and record instructional hours. Granting access to TE does not require coordinator or proctor certification. Now, before we move on, are there any questions about CASAS-controlled and agency-controlled access groups at this point? Very well. Now, when your online database is initially set up, we ask that you identify who at your agency will manage your data to designate that individual as either the ET Basic user if your agency does not have a TE license, or TE Enhanced user if your agency has a TE license or collective agreement with CASAS. Now, let's take a side-by-side look at ET Basic versus TE Enhanced access groups while explaining the setup of group. Now at top right, we're going to click Pages. And from the drop-down menu, click New Vertical Page Group. Now this splits the screen into two vertical pages. On the left page, double-click to open ET Basic group. Now we're going to unpin the navigator to increase the display, and we're going to go through each section. Now, to set up the right page from Organization, click Access Groups. Now I'm going to double-click to open the TE Enhanced group from the second Access Groups tab. Now I'm going to drag and drop the TE Enhanced Access Group tab from the left page to the right page. Now on the TE Enhanced Group tab, we're going to unpin the navigator to increase the display. Now access groups have 4 distinct sections. Because we are viewing access groups already set up, the container is identified in the blue header of the access group information record. Now the recommendation is to set up access groups at the parent level or agency level of your online database so that they may be accessible from child containers or at the site level. Now, identification, menu, and data access rights. I'm going to expand everything here and change this view to edit mode. Again, repeat the same to change the view to edit mode. Now, access group names identify the type of users placed. I'm sorry, let me collapse this for a moment. Now, access group identification. Access group names identify the type of users placed in the group. As you can see, it will very well identify the type of users. Now, the user placed one of these groups is the individual at your agency who will manage your online database. To add a user to a group, click the down arrow in the user field and type to search. Or select from Lister to pick one or more user, and then choose Pick, and then click the Add button. Okay. As you can see, several users are members of the TE Enhanced Access group. Now, you can remove members by clicking the red X box. Doing so will not delete the user account. To benefit by defining access rights for a group of users at the agency or parent level container of your online database, and then be able to apply those rights to users at all sites and subsites or child level containers. Now check Usable in Child Containers. Now, because these are CASAS-controlled access groups, you will not see these available to you in your online database. Now, these groups are only usable in child containers by CASAS. In this case, CASAS is the parent container and the agency is the child container. Now, CASAS-controlled access groups were only added to the Rolling Hills Adult School database so that you may experiment and explore using them. Okay. All right. Now, when menu access has been restricted for this group displays, this tells you that settings have been applied to menu access rights for this group. The menu access has been restricted for this group. This is what I was referring to. Okay. Now, click the edit icon, like I just did, to view these settings or make changes. Now, check boxes grant access, empty boxes deny access, and shaded boxes generally have no specific access rights set. Okay. In other words, access is inherited from a higher level where it is either granted or denied. In this case, or in the case with access groups, shaded boxes are controlled by CASAS and access is denied either because it is a feature available to CASAS only or a feature in development that is yet to be released. Now, when scrolling through both menus, you will notice differences in access. Menus listed correspond to menus, categories, subcategories, or submenus, accessed along the top left of the screen. Okay. ET Basic represents an agency without a TE license and provides basic access to menus and data functions. Now, TE Enhanced represents an agency with a TE license and provides enhanced access to menus and data functions. Okay. Now, users may be granted access to containers at different levels than where an account exists. Each level is referred to as a container. Social Security numbers are not automatically displayed unless enabled. The message access rights to individual record types are set for this group tells you that settings have been applied to data access rights for this group. I'm going to click the edit icon in both pages. Okay. And reconfigure here my page. Okay. Now, data access to lister and record types identified on the left column correspond to menus. Data access involves listing, viewing, creating, updating, and deleting records. As you can see, not all data functions are granted to the basic users, whereas all data functions are available to agencies that are granted to enhanced users. Okay. Hopefully, after looking over menu and data access rights settings, you can understand why CASAS advocates managing users through access groups rather than managing user accounts individually. Until now, we have been connected to TE as an enhanced user with access to most all menus and data functions. Now, let's see the difference when connecting as an ET basic user. At top left, click the TE icon and then disconnect. Now, enter login credentials and then connect. Click connect. Notice that while ET Basic users who manage data for agencies without a TE license have access to all menus along the top, they have limited access to menu categories and sub-menu categories. Okay. Now, to give you another example of the difference in access, let's disconnect and then reconnect as a coordinator. At top left, click the TE icon and then click disconnect. Now enter login credentials as a coordinator and then type the word coordinator, all lowercase, as password, and then click connect. Notice coordinators have access to the organization menu. Coordinators generally have the added responsibility of monitoring and setting up of sites, users, testing sessions, and stations due to their direct involvement with e-tests. Even though coordinators have access to these menus, they can only list and view information and are not granted rights to create, update, or delete information. All right. Now let's see the difference when connecting as a proctor. Difference. Now at top left, click the TE icon and then disconnect. Enter login credentials for a proctor. Proctor, all lowercase, for password, and then click connect. Notice that proctors essentially have access to only two menus containing data. Now, access to the records menu gives proctors the ability to provide a list of tests administered in a session and access to basic reports, very basic reports, if directed to generate at the agency. Okay. All right. Now at top left, now let's see the difference between or when connecting as a teacher. Now at top left, we will click the TE icon and click disconnect. Now we're going to enter a login credential for a teacher with the word teacher, all lowercase, for password, and then click connect. Now the TE Teacher Basic Access Group is the most restricted access to menus and data. Now teachers with basic access can only generate basic reports and cannot create, update, or delete data. Okay. Now let's see the difference when connecting as a teacher with enhanced access. Again, at top left, click TE icon and click disconnect. Now we're going to enter login credentials. And click connect. Oh, I'm sorry. I was showing the wrong account for a basic teacher. I was showing the enhanced teacher. So let me show you now. This is the enhanced teacher menu, what it looks like. Now I'm also going to show you the basic teacher's menu, what it looks like. So at top left, click disconnect. And then reconnect as to the basic teacher account. See how only two menus are enabled? And these are very simple menus to very basic needs. Okay. All right, folks. Now, teachers with enhanced access can, let me log out and log in as a enhanced teacher again. Now, teachers with enhanced access can manage their classes and generate reports for students enrolled in their class. Access to the organization, classes, instances menu gives teachers the ability to enroll students in their classes and record instructional hours. Teachers in this group also have access to generate additional reports. Any questions, folks, about user accounts and managing user access through access groups before we wrap it up? All right. Now, if you are finished working in TE, at top left, click the TE icon and either lock your screen if you plan to return and continue working. Otherwise, disconnect from the server. And then click again TE icon and exit the application. Now, each workshop in a set of CASAS Online implementation basics builds on the last in a logical progression for helping you to get up and running with the online system. If you missed a workshop, we posted a playlist from past recordings so that you may review a previously attended workshop or preview upcoming workshops. You may access them from Training and Support, eTest Online Help, and CASAS Online Implementation Basics for workshop recordings. And you can also access them and others from our social media newsroom on the CASAS YouTube channel. All right. All right, folks. Please notice the information I just pasted on the chat box. It is about the technology support team for CASAS. The support team is available to provide any technical assistance you may need to ensure successful implementation. This email address alerts the support team that includes several members. Communicating to the larger group will help us to ensure you receive a timely response. Team members are available from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time, Monday through Friday. We look forward to you joining us for the next workshop on adding users. Thank you for your time, and this concludes the workshop on how to create access groups to manage users in your online database.